likely to heat up in the coming few days, one thing is abundantly clear, that the BJP is taking this story to town. Double engine ki sarkar and the women reservation bill is the narrative, is the poll plank that will define what BJP promises to the people of each of these states. Even today, Prime Minister is scheduled to land in Gujarat on a 2-day visit, a slew of development projects that he is set to inaugurate. And even there, he is going to be greeted by the women of Gujarat, who are going to welcome him upon the successful passage of the Women's Reservation Bill. The Congress party argues this is nothing but an election jumla. A jumla which surprisingly is supported on the floor of the House in Parliament. With just few weeks to go for the elections in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and Telangana to be announced by the poll panel, will this narrative lead to the victory of the BJP, or the opposition, especially the Congress party, which is very strong in the 3 states of Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh, be able to dampen the spirits of the BJP, which seems to be clearly geared up for these elections? One very interesting aspect which has come forward in the state of Madhya Pradesh: central leadership and sitting ministers like Narendra Singh Tomar or the Member of Parliament Rakesh Singh have been given tickets to fight assembly elections in the state of Madhya Pradesh, and these are B+ seats, or seats where BJP has often lost. It only shows how the battle of Madhya Pradesh and other states has become a battle of prestige. Our focus on Viewpoint tonight.
पहले ही लोकसभा और राज्यसभा में माताओं, बहनों, बेटियों के लिए 33% सीटें आरक्षित करने का कानून पारित हुआ। नारी शक्ति वंदन अधिनियम देश ने नया इतिहास रच दिया है। आखिर मोदी है तो मोदी है तो हर गारंटी पूरी होने की गारंटी है। कांग्रेस और उसके नए घमंडिया गठबंधन ने मजबूरी में इस बिल का समर्थन बहुत खट्टे मन से किया है, बहुत बेमन से किया है। और आप देखिए कि इनके गठबंधन में जितने लोग हैं, वही लोग हैं जिन्होंने 30 साल तक इस कानून को पारित नहीं होने दिया। पार्लियामेंट में हुड़दंग किया, बिल फाड़ दिए, स्पीकर पे हमले बोल दिए।
Well, joining us on the broadcast, Tuhin Sinha, the national spokesperson of BJP, Anika Mehrotra, who's a spokesperson of Congress party. Both are joining us on the broadcast. We're expecting other guests also to be with us in just a few minutes from now. But I want to cut across to Anika ji first. Anika ji, the Prime Minister says it's a historic step that the BJP has taken. This bill was spoken of by the Congress party in successive years, but the Congress party couldn't do anything substantial about it. Your party is aware how critical the women voters bank has become for any political party in different states, not just in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh or Rajasthan, but even in a state like Bihar and Uttar Pradesh as well. The BJP is taking its success story to town. Do you think you'd be able to successfully communicate your side of the story?
We already have. In fact, the nation and the women of this country know very well that election around the corner, and there goes our Prime Minister, spreading or sharing his jumlas. And he knows very well that the failures that they have, done in these 9.5 years, people are going to take them to task. And that is the reason Mr. Modi, our Prime Minister, and Bharatiya Janata Party, or the Jumla Party, is very worried. And hence they've come with a post-dated check. You see, this is the diversion tactics. They know very well they have questions to answer. All right, leave alone 15 lakhs, leave alone 2 crore job. You go on and on and on and on. All their promises, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. Look at the funds that they've given to Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. It's nothing but just a farce. Do you know, Anshula, the Mirage effect? You
Of
go
course,
nosedive
all of
believing
us
you're
have read
seeing
that
an
in
optical
school.
image. It's nothing but a...
But I wonder, Anika ji, what exactly is the mirage effect? Because the BJP argues that it was Congress party. One second.
To show
The Congress party has kept this mirage of women reservation for far too long. And when the women reservation bill has become a reality, you've suddenly thrown in a surprise of the OBC quota, something that the Congress party has never spoken of historically.
Anshula ji, I thought you had read the bill very clearly. You know very clearly, ma'am, the ifs and buts put in by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Look at this delimitation and the census issues. Why, may I ask? 2010, when it got passed in Rajya Sabha, it has not lapsed. It could have been continued. Why don't you do it right away? A far distant dream of 2029, you're not aware when the census will take place, when will delimit take place. Why are you harping about it now? It is a clear act of a jumla of duping the women of this country. Now you think so the women of the country will not read, will not understand what the act is all about, what the bill is all about, and when will they get their share, which was duly there for past so many years, which we are still struggling. Remember, ma'am, we wrote continuous letters to the Modi government. Time and again we requested them that a bill is there, why don't you bring it? What took them 9.5 years? And now on top of it, you know, it's like chori or sina chori. Now after 9.5 years, you come and do tall claims. It was their leaders who objected to it in 1989 when the bill came first. So the history goes on. People of this country know very well that the intent is not there. Just because you have changed the nomenclature from women reservation to Nari, Vandana, Adhiniyam,
Nari, Vandan,
that will
Adhiniyam.
not suffice. Stop doing that. Women of this country actually need it now.
Okay.
You need to empower them.
You've made your opening comments. You've made your opening comments. Now listen to your political opponent as well. We have Tuhin Sinha, the national spokesperson of BJP, joining us on the broadcast. Tuhinji, why make women reservations subject to delimitation? The BJP is right when they argue that a caste census is absolutely necessary for the exercise of delimitation. But for women reservation to be a reality, delimitation was not a sine qua non.
Well, good evening, Anusha. Good evening, everybody. You know, traditionally, the Congress party has always practiced the politics of deception and chicanery, which is what they had done on the issue of women's reservation bill, which stands exposed today. The reason why we have, included the clauses of the population census and delimitation is only to ensure that the bill is not legally inept and vulnerable to being challenged in the court of law. We have seen a history of Congress party where they would bring bills like communal violence bill, which were anyway an attack on the Hindu community, which we thwarted. We have seen Rahul Gandhi, tearing off ordinances of his own government. We don't do that. We ensure complete perfection, complete completion. We don't leave anything for detail. We don't leave anything for legally weak.
No, but allow me to make an interjection that I think I understand bare components of law. Why was it legally necessary to include delimitation?
No, because delimitation anyway is happening in 2026. And if you ask the Election Commission, it would be unviable to complete, even for them logistically, to identify all of the 1/3 seats immediately. So a party which has stalled the women's reservation bill for a good 14 years. I'm simply referring to Sonia Gandhi's comments after 2010, when she very clearly said that we don't support OBC reservation within the women's reservation because all parties have the liberty to give any number of seats to the OBC candidates. Today, why the Congress has gone on a completely 180-degree tangent? Why does it need to completely change its stand? Our stand has remained consistent. If you go back in 2010, if the bill was passed in Rajya Sabha, it would not have happened without the robust support of Arun Jaitley ji. You have seen his comments on record. The only people who were opposing it were Sharad Yadav, Lalu Yadav and Mulayam Singh Yadav, all of whom were allies of, or even if today, are India Alliance partners.
So Anika ji, if this bill is a jumla, and I've asked this question yesterday as well, why was it supported on the floor of the House by the Congress party? You should have said that in this present form, this bill is nothing but a farce and the Congress party will not support it. Was the Congress party also making a political point? If I were to take your argument that BJP is making a political point here on the face value.
All right. All right, I'll tell you that. Ma'am, our point here is that, we have always stood by it, and we stand by the reservation bill. We all have said that. You have heard in the parliament that we support the bill. I think none of the Congress said we don't support it. A. B. There are ifs and buts. That is a legitimate question. You think we'll be tight-lipped if they come up with anything? We ask them, why the census? All right, if you're doing census, why not the caste census? Why not let everybody have his own share? And 2021 was the scheduled year for the census. Due to COVID, you could not do. Rest of the countries have done it. Only India and G20 has not done it. And hence, they have put a bracket and seized it till 2026. That goes to say that 2024, at the last lap, when you know your ground is slipping because of a non-performance, you come out with this huge bill, which was, we all wanted it to see the light of the day. But unfortunately, it will not. Because this very election, let's say, it's in Rajya Sabha, the previous bill. Why didn't you pass it as it is, ma'am? Why did you put the sense and delimitation? Because the intention was not there, and hence we say it is nothing but a jumla and an event management. In the Madhya Pradesh speech today, Prime Minister Modi, in his 51st speech, took the name of Congress 41 times. Why are you scared? Because a Prime Minister of a country naming a reliance as
who can take that away from the Congress party that is the biggest opponent of the BJP in states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan? And I will take that question to Mr. Tuhin Sinha. Tuhin, Madhya Pradesh is my home state as well, and many people there argue, people who are close to the BJP argue, that the manner in which the recent list has come out somewhere shows that it's a do or die battle for the Saffron party. The likes of Rakesh Singh, who have been veteran parliamentary members, Narendra Singh Tomar, and various leaders who are active at the central level have been thrown into the assembly elections. Why did the BJP decide something of that nature?
We have been in government in Madhya Pradesh for the last 20 years, barring, a 1.5-year period. And for 20 years, if a party is in government, some amount of anti-incumbency is bound to happen. But the way 7 sitting members of parliament have readily opted to fight the assembly election shows the selflessness in all our party karyakartas. That is the spirit of the BJP. For us, we've always believed that the country and the party are way above individuals. We're not a family-run party where, the family takes precedence over everything else. So I think you should appreciate the spirit of the 7 members of parliament who willingly decided to opt for assembly elections, realizing that, it's a battle which we need to win, and they are going all out to make that happen.
No, but Tuhin, I understand that sentiment. You're a loyal party worker, and hence you make that argument about the leadership. And that should be the leadership of any national party in that way if you really want to run your affairs. But that's my question, that why did the leadership decide something of this nature?
We don't take any battle lightly. It's not just about Madhya Pradesh. A similar thing had happened in a few of the other states. We don't take any battle lightly, which is what explains, the 2 instances when we have consistently won 272 plus seats, 303 on one occasion and 282 on the other. And trust me, you will be surprised with the Madhya Pradesh results as well, because the amount of work that has happened, 5 airports, the women empowerment schemes, right from the Ladli Lakshmi Yojana from 2008 onwards. Madhya Pradesh has been a pioneer in all of these social welfare schemes. And lastly, because ma'am had been making some charges, let me come back, give me 30 seconds to come back to the women reservation bill. I need to answer her. At least Asaduddin Owaisi had the audacity to oppose it. But what does the Congress think it can, constantly does it think it can mislead people? If Rahul Gandhi had the courage, he should have torn the bill in the parliament the way he tore the ordinance of the Manmohan Singh government. But after the passage of the bill, he continues to stoke falsehood by repeating that only 3 OBC, secretaries are there in the central government, despite being schooled on it. And if such is the situation, only and only the Congress party is to be blamed, because they delayed the implementation of the Mandal Commission report by 8 years. It was submitted in 1983. They were in government till 1989. They delayed that. They delayed the implementation of the Kaka Kelkar Commission report of 1958, which had clearly mandated that the backward commission should be given the constitutional status, which eventually happened by our government in 2018, and they opposed it. So this is the reality.
Can I intervene, please?
All right, Anika ji, a quick response from you, and then we have Yuvraj Pokarna also joining us on the broadcast.
Anusha ji, I think Mr. Tushar sir is contradicting his own statement. He talks about parivarwad. Then why Jyotia Scindia ji, may I ask Arun ji, why was the eagerness to take the mantri without a portfolio with that Hawai Jahaz and all that? What is the answer to that? Why do you take all the people from Congress? The parivarwad? So don't contradict your own statement. I know you're a loyal worker, rightly said by ma'am, but look where he is diverting the issue. We are talking women reservation. I categorically said in the parliament that we stand by the reservation because we are the champions for it, and we always, and Rajiv ji was it first, and we got to implement Panchayati Raj. Who are they? The Advani ji, Lal Kishore Advani ji, Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, and Jaswant Sinha ji. They opposed in 1989. If he doesn't know that, go and tell him to go and check the records.
Yes, there are a lot of points you want to respond
I agree on that.
But I think the moot question here is,
ma'am, he's responded enough.
something that the opposition has repeatedly asked BJP. That is this washing machine? I mean, the same set of people, when they go to BJP, they become more palatable and acceptable, and then there are no charges of nepotism?
Is the question to me?
Yes, please go ahead.
First of all, let me define what is parivarwad. By virtue of your father or your mother being in the party or holding a certain
Anika ji, let him finish. Let him make his point. I'll come back to you. I'll have to go to Yuvraj as well. Please go ahead. Tuhin Sinha, please go ahead. Make your point.
So let me just define parivarwad for you. Parivarwad simply means that by virtue of your pedigree, holding a certain position in the party, you will not be entitled to that position. It does not mean that any succeeding generation of mine or anybody else will not be allowed in politics. All of these people.
Okay, then in the RSS, how many women are there? How many women are in RSS?
Anika ji, we can't shift contours and paradigms like that. We have to stay on one. You've raised a question. Now let him answer that. Let him answer that. I have not allowed anybody to speak over you. I have not allowed you to speak over him. Please go ahead. Tuhin Sinha, please make your point.
So I have basically defined parivarwad. We can't prevent our succeeding generations from entering politics, but all of those who have entered politics have had to work their way up. It's not as if they have inherited a position just because their pedigree had that position. I hope the Congress understands this difference.
All right. Yuvraj, come into the discussion. The women reservation bill is one of the key things that Prime Minister has highlighted in the different rallies he has had in the poll-bound states. Even in Gujarat, today there would be celebration of sort. This is the key narrative that they take to the people. Women reservation, development of women, inclusion of women at the leadership and policy level, and combining it with the narrative of the double engine ki sarkar by Modi government. Do you think it will work in states like Madhya Pradesh, where there's a strong anti-incumbency against the BJP?
Am I audible?
You're audible, Yuvraj. Go ahead.
Yeah, Miss Soni, one thing that we must all concede with, including the friends from Congress and the BJP, that Mr. Narendra Modi is a master communicator. And this is his trump card, the Turupka Ikka, the women reservation bill that was languishing since 2010 from the time of Congress, has been brought into enactment by the BJP under the stewardship of Modi, and that too at a very crucial juncture. As they say, timing is very important and crucial in politics. You got to see the timing and connect the dots. As India has changed from India to Bharat, from India's to destiny to Bharat at 2047. So we're getting a new parliament, and on the historic occasion of inauguration of new parliament, the first bill that history, in the annals of the history will be remembered Narendra Modi as the man who has brought women reservation.
Yuvraj, one of the criticism of the bill has been that it's not a tangible, it's not something quickly that will happen and something will go into the hands of the people, something that has worked in elections for the Congress party and for other parties as well. Suppose freebies/welfare schemes which put quick money or quick benefits into the hands of the citizens. It's a promise of the future, and people wonder, experts wonder, that whether it will really yield votes for the BJP.
Ms. Soni, one needs to understand the nitty-gritties of the system. When I say the system, the administration is not BJP. When I say system, the administration is not Mr. Narendra Modi or his cabinet. So from ground panchayat level to the cabinet level, of course, there are nitty-gritties. This is going to take time, and to the best that people calculate, we can see the fruition of the bill take place up to 2029. But last I checked, BJP is the party that will be registered in the annal of the history to bring in this bill, and Congress could not do it.
Okay.
And yes, we tracked the Lok Sabha, we tracked the Rajya Sabha. The bill was passed with a thumping majority. So people will remember Modi and this government for bringing this bill. And this is going to be a clincher. Mark my words, this is going to be the biggest clincher in the 2024 election.
The Janta Janardhan, or the voters of the world's largest democracy, would decide what Yuvraj is predicting. But Toyin Sinha, one of the criticism that was made by a learned panelist yesterday also when we discussed the issue of women reservation was that it's not a tangible in the hands of the people. It's not a quick benefit that people are getting. And hence, the prospects of it gathering more votes for the BJP or beating the anti-incumbency, as you were talking about, are really questionable. How do you deal with that criticism?
Anusha, you would realize that reservation is not the only way to empower women. When we provide 13 crore tap connections in a matter of just four and 1/4 of a year, I think that's historic. The biggest beneficiary are the women. For working women, we've increased the maternity leave from 3 months to 6 months. You know, the biggest beneficiaries of Swachh Bharat Abhiyan have been women. From a 40% sanitation cover, it has gone up to 100%. So I think, there have been enormous schemes in Jan Dhan Yojana. Out of the 50 crore bank accounts, more than 55% belong to women. So there have been enormous schemes. But nobody from here can go back on the women's reservation bill. That is why it was important to get it passed now, because the kind of political willpower that Modi ji has shown in the last 9 years, that has put an end to the Congress politics of deception. So it was important to get it passed now, so that in future, if Congress tries to play its tricks by including the OBC or whatever, whatever distraction the Congress tries to play, it will not be possible for them to stop this bill from becoming a law. In fact, it has become a law by virtue of being passed, from being implemented on the ground.
Anika Mehrotra, when it comes to the schemes targeted at women, or even the popularity of the present government or Prime Minister amongst the women, many experts, and it's not just anecdotal evidence, many experts would give you hard numbers and data to argue that the number of women voters who have voted for the BJP or the brand of Prime Minister Narendra Modi are huge in numbers. In fact, this is one loyal voter base on which the BJP or the Prime Minister can rely upon. The passage of the women reservation bill in both houses of the parliament, of course, the state assemblies also need to look at it, and of course the final assent from the president is something that will seal the deal. But it is the consolidation of the narrative that the BJP has been building for the last 8 to 9 years. It's not something new. It's yet another consolidatory move.
And that is precisely the reason the worried lot of BJP has bought this bill as the last lap, because they know very well the women of the country have been oppressed. Look at the rate of the cylinders. Look at the kind of unemployment it has got. Look at the way the children are jobless. It goes on and on and on. And hence they knew very well the women voters are going to come in up in arms against BJP. Remember, Anusha, this was there in the manifesto in 2014 also. BJP got it in the manifesto that women will be passed. 9.5 years down the line, they have used the trump card many a times, and they knew it very well, Anusha, that no longer will the women of this country vote for Mr. Modi, and hence this is a jumla and we stick by it. Our only appeal to is that if you are so serious about it, we support you. Bring the old bill as it is. It will be implemented 2024.
But Anika ji, I've asked you this question since the beginning of this debate, and I'd make one last attempt as I take closing comments from all the guests, that why did the Congress party support it on the floor of the House if it's a jumla?
Because we feel there's a need of the hour, because we were always advocating for the women.
But Congress party seems to be supporting a jumla. Can you be? Then you're making a circular argument, aren't you?
No, it's not the question. No, that's what, if that is what we're trying to say, that it is a jumla. But had it been a serious thing, no, you're getting it wrong completely. The bill in its own is important, but the way you have bought it, with the ifs and buts, it is nothing but a farce. It's a posted check, and I don't think so it's going to see the light of the day. All right,
Yuvraj, final comments from you. It's a post-dated check, and the people in the states will not really take this promise on the face value. They see the designs of BJP behind it. That's what the Congress says.
Mr. I've always observed a couple of things. BJP has a legion of star pracharaks, the highest being PM Modi. BJP manages to create a groundswell, जिसको हम यूपी में कहते हैं भोकाल, and BJP has an organizational structure which is akin to military level precision. So with the master communicator under like PM Modi, BJP has successfully managed to percolate the last man standing in the queue, and everybody knows. Yesterday I was chatting with a slum worker. He said, "भैया, अब तो हमारी wife भी vote करेगी, अब तो हमारी wife को भी सरकारी नौकरी मिलेगी." So this is what the ground people says, and BJP is very much grounded. That is my humble request and exhortation to Monica ma'am.
All right.
मैम थोड़ा सा grounded हो जाइए आप लोग.
All right. Final comments from Tuhin Sinha as we close this discussion.
You know,
in the run up to these crucial elections, is it fair to say that the BJP is nervous because of strong anti-incumbency, and Madhya Pradesh is a very important prestige battle for you?
You know, BJP has the ability to keep surprising the opponents, which should be appreciated. We are not a predictable party like the Congress party, so you will see many more surprises in the months to come. And I think the opposition needs to be prepared for that. They will have no option but to support other bills as well. Rahul Gandhi will not have the option of tearing these apart. Now, one request which I would certainly want to make to the Congress party is that please don't link Rajiv Gandhi with women empowerment, because he's the person who denied 180 rupees monthly allowance to Shah Bano, a poor Muslim woman. So please don't insult women. You know, when you talk of Rajiv Gandhi as an icon of women empowerment, you are repeating the insult which Indian women have gone through during his time.
All right, Mr. Tuhin Sinha, Onika Mehrotra and Rivraj, thank you all for joining us on the broadcast and being a part of this discussion. We are slipping into a very short break. Up next, a major shift in the political scene in Tamil Nadu as AIADMK has exited the NDA. On the standby also, the big address of Dr. Jai Shankar at the United Nations General Assembly. Much more lined up on the other side of a quick break. Stay tuned.
Context about what lies in store here in Jaipur.
Well, see, Prime Minister Modi has a very jam-packed schedule today. Firstly, he started his day with a rally in Madhya Pradesh. Then he has reached Rajasthan, and after concluding his program in Rajasthan, remember, he'll be reaching to Delhi and then participate in another program of Deen Dayal Upadhyay, the statue. So now, as we speak, Prime Minister Modi is in Jaipur, and remember that today is the culmination day of the Bharatiya Janata Party's Parivartan Yatra in Rajasthan, and of course, Prime Minister Modi, has been welcomed by women there, and the state BJP has planned this visit of Prime Minister Modi in a way that all the works related to Prime Minister's rally, stage work, etc., would be done by all women workers of Bharatiya Janata Party. And in fact, when Prime Minister Modi is arriving there, then on the both sides of the road, you'll have women worker welcoming Prime Minister Modi, thanking Prime Minister Modi for this women's reservation bill, which has come to the fore, and in fact passed by the Parliament's both houses, and therefore we are seeing that Prime Minister Modi is getting that welcome from the people of Rajasthan. He will, of course, be engaging with the audiences there. Prime Minister Modi will make sure that whenever he visits poll-bound states, he talk about those issues which are really mattering on the ground. And BJP has been actually targeting Congress party on three issues. One, of course, is women's safety. Second is the appeasement politics of the Congress party, and third is corruption. So these are the issues which BJP highlighted vis-a-vis Rajasthan is concerned in past couple of months.
Tell our audiences, Arun, we know that at least in the state of Rajasthan, anti-incumbency will work in the BJP's favour. But at the same time, the BJP, it seems, has had a difficult few months when it comes to their state unit. It seems, at least according to experts, that there are multiple claimants when it comes to the Chief Minister's position. Obviously, there's the former Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje, but there are also reports claiming that Satish Poonia, Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, CP Joshi, all are attempting to lay claim to that position. Can you bring us more context?
Well, see, as of now, BJP has made it very clear to all those leaders whom you've just named that the election will be fought under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. So there will not be any declaration of the chief ministerial candidate from the BJP's side. and that is, of course, to keep those objections under the wraps, because there are, of course, various leaders who have aspirations. You have Vasundhara Raje, who is the former Chief Minister of Rajasthan and a very strong leader, and therefore you have other leaders as well, like Gajendra Singh Shekhawat, C.P. Joshi, Rajendra Rathod. So without taking any risk, BJP is giving clear indication that they will fight this election under the leadership and on the face of Prime Minister Modi. And once, if they form the government, then they will decide who's going to be leading the Bharatiya Janata Party there in the state. And that is perhaps the reason why that message, in fact, has been given to all state leaders, that we have to fight this election collectively. So there shouldn't be any, individual campaigning or etc. And that was the reason why, if you see that Parivartan Yatra, which happened in Rajasthan, that was not led by one person. There were 4 yatras, which was led by 4 different leaders.
Arun, thank you for those details. We'll continue to check back in with my colleague. As you can see, the Prime Minister in Jaipur. It's time for a short break. On the other side, in just a few minutes, more of the country's top stories. This is the Breaking News Show. The Prime Minister, as you can see on the visuals in front of us, in Jaipur. A little while earlier, we brought you visuals of the Prime Minister in a rally in Madhya Pradesh. Both Madhya Pradesh and Rajasthan are due for elections. You'll remember this year, in just a few months from now. In Rajasthan, remember, the Prime Minister is there right now to address audiences. He'll be addressing crowds in just a little while from now. But in Rajasthan, his visit is of particular importance because, remember, the BJP in Rajasthan has seen some disquiet within its state unit with various poles of leadership. Former Chief Minister Vasundhara Raje, choosing not to attend rallies in multiple areas, seen as a seeming sign of her dissatisfaction with decisions being made by the central BJP leadership. So that disquiet very much remains. Remember, the Rajasthan state is currently ruled by the Congress government. Ashok Gehlot, the Chief Minister, is going to be launching that campaign against the BJP in just a few months from now. The Congress too in Rajasthan has seen its own fair share of infighting. Obviously, you must be familiar with this. Former Deputy Chief Minister Sachin Pilot's infighting with the Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot. So, 2 separate parties, both the BJP and the Congress in Rajasthan, with their own state party unit complications playing out. In Rajasthan itself, over the last few months,
Welcome back. You're watching Viewpoint. In a major political shift in the state of Tamil Nadu, the aiadmk has snapped ties with the BJP. aiadmk unanimously passed a resolution to end its alliance with the NDA. In a statement, the party slammed Tamil Nadu BJP President Annamalai for criticizing the Dravidian stalwart C.N. Annadurai. The party's General Secretary, Edappadi Palaniswami, said that they would lead an alliance with like-minded parties in the upcoming Lok Sabha elections and not the BJP. According to BJP, the aiadmk wanted Annamalai to be removed as the BJP state president, but the High Command denied this request. The opposition has claimed this move shows that the NDA is crumbling. Could this be a blessing in disguise for the Saffron Party in the state of Tamil Nadu in the long run? Because Project South is something that the BJP has been looking at in a long-term basis for the next 20 years. That story, our focus here.
It is BJP who needs aiadmk. It's not aiadmk needs BJP as far as Tamil Nadu is concerned. And history is going to repeat.
भारतीय जनता पार्टी ने गठबंधन दल जितने भी हमारे रहे, पहले भी और अब भी, उन सबको महत्व भी दिया, साथ भी दिया, एक परिवार के रूप में ही साथ में लेकर चले।
Well, joining us on the broadcast is Mr. R. Rajgopalan, who's a senior journalist. We also have Yuvraj Pokharna, who's a columnist, joining us on the broadcast. We'd have other guests as well who will be joining us in just a few minutes from now. Mr. Rajgopalan, first to you. BJP doesn't have a strong presence in the state of Tamil Nadu like it has in the northern states or in the central Indian states like Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh or Uttar Pradesh and Rajasthan. It's a long-term project that the BJP is looking at. They've lost a critical ally. How critical, how important or how big of a setback is this for the BJP, or this is a blessing in disguise?
It is a setback to BJP, but efforts are on to move back Mr. Edappadi Palaniswami. Today, a lot of behind-the-scene efforts have taken place. Apart from that, madam, it is a developing story. As you know, yesterday they snapped the ties, and today Mr. Edappadi Palaniswami has issued a statement that none of the ADMK leaders or cadre should speak ill of BJP or Narendra Modi or, for that matter, the central government. So therefore, there is a door open slowly by, something is being reconciled. And my understanding is next 1 week may be crucial for this alliance, as JDS has come back to BJP, as Shiromani Akali Dal is also returning to BJP fold, and Mr. TDP leader, Mr. Chandrababu Naidu is tapping the door. So therefore, my understanding is in 1 week's time we hear some new different. Apart from that, if you critically analyze it at the national level, if BJP comes out of ADMK, therefore the DMK alliance, smaller parties in DMK like Congress, like VCK, like MDMK, like CPI, CPM, they gain more bargaining powers. And thereby, Mr. Stalin may face a problem.
So
the point is...
Yeah. Finish your point.
Because it is correlated to DMK's alliance with Congress, BJP's alliance with BJP, so with ADMK. So therefore, if one loses, the other gainer.
So Mr. Muralidharan, do you agree with that proposition that yes, it's a setback to the BJP? They had plans to expand in the state, and for many things that they were relying on AIADMK for that political expansion. Annamalai, in certain statements that he made, did not go down well with various political parties in Tamil Nadu, AIADMK and DMK alike. So that really is something that it was not working out for AIADMK. We have to cut across right now live to the address of Dr. Jaishankar.
Let me begin by expressing our felicitations to the President of the General Assembly, His Excellency Dennis Francis, and our fullest support to the 78th UNGA's theme of rebuilding trust and reigniting global solidarity. This is an occasion to take stock of our achievements and challenges, even while sharing our aspirations and goals. And indeed, in regard to both, there is much that India has to share. Mr. President, the world is witnessing an exceptional period of turmoil. As it is, structural inequities and uneven development have imposed burdens on the global south. But stresses have been aggravated by the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and the repercussions of ongoing conflicts, tensions, and disputes. As a result, socio-economic gains of recent years have been rolled back, resources for sustainable development are severely challenged, and many countries really struggle to make ends meet. Navigating the future appears even more daunting today. At this juncture, it was with a sense of exceptional responsibility that India took up the presidency of the G20. Our vision of one Earth, one family, one future sought to focus on the key concerns of the many, not just the narrow interests of a few. In the words of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, it was to bridge divides, dismantle barriers, and sow seeds of collaboration that nourish a world where unity prevails over discord and where shared destiny eclipses isolation. The New Delhi G20 Leaders' Declaration articulates our collective ability to do so. Excellencies, friends, at a time when East-West polarization is so sharp and the North-South divide so deep, the New Delhi Summit also affirms that diplomacy and dialogue are the only effective solutions. The international order is diverse, and we must cater for divergences, if not differences. The days when a few nations set the agenda and expected others to fall in line are over. As the United Nations itself symbolizes, finding common ground is an imperative. To listen to others and to respect their viewpoints, this is not weakness, it is the basics of cooperation. Only then can collective efforts on global issues be successful. Recognizing that growth and development must focus on the most vulnerable, we began the G20 presidency by convening the Voice of the Global South Summit. This enabled us to hear directly from 125 nations and place their concerns on the G20 agenda. As a consequence, issues which deserve global attention got a fair hearing. More than that, the deliberations produce outcomes that have great significance for the international community. Mr. President, it was also noteworthy that at India's initiative, the African Union was admitted as a permanent member of the G20. By doing so, we gave voice to an entire continent which has long been its due. This significant step in reform should inspire the United Nations, a much older organization, to also make the Security Council contemporary. Broad representation is, after all, a prerequisite for both effectiveness and credibility. The outcomes of the New Delhi G20 summit will surely resonate for years ahead. Among them is an action plan for sustainable development goals, a crucial need of the day. Equally important are the high principles of lifestyle for environment, and the Green Development Pact as they shape our approach to our planet's future. The transformative role of digital public infrastructure has also finally been recognized as the salience of women-led development in building an inclusive and progressive society. The reform of international financial institutions has been given due weight, as has the resolution of debt vulnerabilities. Friends, the New Delhi G20 outcomes are expressed both as larger policies and as specific initiatives. They could be about building cities for tomorrow, or fighting corruption, eliminating hunger, or delivering quality education, ending plastic pollution, or preserving the ocean-based economy, or for that matter, enhancing food security, or even mapping global skills. Some address long-standing issues like gender divide and climate action. Others focus on new concerns such as responsible harnessing of artificial intelligence. All in all, we have placed for the world's consideration a set of actionable propositions, constructive solutions, and new directions. Even as we encourage collective endeavors, India also seeks to promote cooperation with diverse partners. From the era of non-alignment, we have now evolved to that of Vishwa Mitra, a friend to the world. This is reflected in our ability and willingness to engage with a broad range of nations and, where necessary, harmonize interests. It is visible in the rapid growth of the Quad, a mechanism today so relevant to the Indo-Pacific. It is equally apparent in the expansion of the BRICS grouping of independent-minded nations, or in fact the emergence of the I2U2 combination. Recently, we hosted the creation of the India-Middle East-Europe Economic Corridor, IMEC. The forging of the Global Biofuels Alliance was another notable development. This willingness to work in an open-minded manner on specific domains is now a defining characteristic of the emerging multipolar order. Mr. President, all nations pursue their national interests. We, in India, have never seen that as being in contradiction with global good. When we aspire to be a leading power, this is not for self-aggrandizement, but to take on greater responsibility and make more contributions. The goals we have set for ourselves will make us different from all those whose rise preceded ours. India demonstrated this during the COVID through the Vaccine Maitri initiative. Our endeavors, like the International Solar Alliance and the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, have gathered wide support. Our espousing of the International Year of Millets is enhancing global food security today. We have built development partnerships with 78 nations across geographies. And we have also been first responder in disaster emergency situations. The people of Turkey saw that in February, as did those in Syria. Our commitment is understandably even greater closer home. When Sri Lanka experienced a severe economic crisis, it was India that first stepped forward. But even in distant regions, partners such as the Pacific Islands have appreciated our contributions to meet their needs in health, in technology, and in climate action. Mr. President, the most populous nation and the fifth largest economy in the world knows that its progress makes a real difference to the world. Especially so when so many nations identify with us for reasons of history, of geography, and of culture. They follow our experiences closely and evaluate our solutions for their larger relevance. Last week, the United Nations assessed progress towards achieving SDGs. The mood here reflected the struggle to overcome challenges, especially those of resource paucity. It is therefore vital at this midway that we expand our capacities and regain our confidence. As the largest contributor to meeting SDG targets, India's achievements should give heart to others on this journey. After all, the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index records that we have halved the global MPI value in the last 15 years, lifting 415 million people out of poverty. That progress has now moved on to a higher level with ambitious socio-economic initiatives covering financial inclusion, food and nutrition, health and water supply, as well as energy and housing. We are seeking to demonstrate that social welfare need not be the sole prerogative of the developed world. Excellencies, programs underway in India highlight the transformational role of digital delivery of public goods. It has facilitated scaling up, it has enhanced efficiency, and it has combated corruption. The national objective of leaving no one behind is forging ahead in so many dimensions. Moreover, the democratization of technology has opened mindsets, instilled confidence, and inspired innovations. Excellencies, in our deliberations, we often advocate the promotion of a rules-based order. From time to time, respect for the UN Charter is also invoked. But for all the talk, it is still a few nations who shape the agenda and seek to define the norms. This cannot go on indefinitely, nor will it go unchallenged. A fair, equitable, and democratic order will surely emerge once we all put our minds to it. And for a start, that means ensuring that rule makers do not subjugate rule takers. After all, rules will work only when they apply equally to all. Mr. President, we must never again allow an injustice like vaccine apartheid to recur. Climate action, too, cannot continue to witness an evasion of historical responsibilities. The power of markets should not be utilized to steer food and energy from the needy to the wealthy. Nor must we countenance that political convenience determines responses to terrorism, extremism, and violence. Similarly, respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercises in cherry-picking. When reality departs from the rhetoric, we must have the courage to call it out. Without genuine solidarity, there can never be real trust. This is very much the sentiment of the Global South. Next year, the United Nations will be hosting the Summit of the Future. This should serve as a serious opportunity to drive change, champion fairness, and reform multilateralism, including the expansion of the Security Council memberships. We must address global challenges imbued with the conviction that we are one Earth and one family with one future. Excellencies, friends, India has entered the Amrit Kal, a quarter century where greater progress and transformation awaits us. We are confident that our talent and creativity, now so visibly unleashed, will power us forward. The world saw a glimpse of what is to come when our Chandrayaan-3 landed on the moon. Today, our message to the world is in digitally enabled governance and delivery, in the widening ambit of amenities and services, in rapidly growing infrastructure, and in our energetic startup culture. It is visible too in vibrant cultural expressions, such as in the arts, yoga, wellness, and lifestyle. Our latest assertion is in a path-breaking legislation to reserve 1/3 of the seats for women in our legislatures. Mr. President, I speak for a society where ancient traditions of democracy have struck deep modern roots. As a result, our thinking, approaches, and actions are now more grounded and authentic. As a civilizational polity that embraces modernity, we bring both tradition and technology equally confidently to the table. It is this fusion that today defines India, that is Bharat. I thank you, Mr. President.
I thank the Minister of External Affairs of India.
Well, that was the address of Dr. Jai Shankar at the United Nations General Assembly. And he clearly spoke about the vision and the dream of India and how the world's fifth largest economy aims and aspires to develop in the coming times, in the coming future, and how India's growth and development is critical to the future of the entire world. And of course, the External Affairs Minister also spoke about the extremist havens. He also indirectly gave a message without referring particularly to one nation, to Pakistan and China. My colleague Abhishek Jha with us on the broadcast. Abhishek, the key takeaways.
Of course, the External Affairs Minister was speaking on all the issues from the India's growth story to the recent G20 that has concluded in India and how India has emerged as a world stage, as a power, as a nation that could bring consensus on various issues. India has become voice of global south. Also, something very clearly Jaishankar has also told about the rules-based order, and that a few nations cannot decide what the rules will be. He has also referred to the cherry picking of the issues like sovereignty and integrity of one nation and interference in the internal affairs of one nation and defining it through cherry picking one case or the other. There has to be a law, there has to be a system which everybody should agree about, and probably that would create a more fair and equitable rules-based order. This is what Jaishankar meant throughout his speech.
He also spoke about the role India is going to have in the growth and development. That story for developing nations, the global south, also the success of Chandrayaan.
Of course, these are the recent mark of development that India can totally boast about and can tell the world how India has now arrived on the scene where the country was not being recognized for its contribution, but now with the Chandrayaan, the kind of G20, and G20 is successful G20. Today we had the US ambassador saying in Delhi saying that this was one of the most historically successful G20 because the kind of divide the world is currently having, and in those challenging circumstances, how India was able to bridge the divide and bring a consensus on Delhi Declaration. That was very praiseworthy. Also, as Jaishankar has said, how India, in its furthering its democratic values, which is very ancient in nature, has also established women reservation in the parliament. This is something that should be celebrated. India, during its G20, also had talked about women-led growth. That was one of the themes of the entire G20 that was round the year we had seen several of, events being organized across the country. Yeah. And women-led growth was something that was in the very core of entire, program.
Of course, the External Affairs Minister was quite tempered in his speech and he did not refer to any country directly. But safe havens for extremist groups is something that the External Affairs Minister spoke about, an indirect reference to Pakistan and China.
Of course, we have seen, but with the latest, when we say about safe haven for terrorists, we have seen External Affairs Ministry including another name, and that is of Canada. We have seen how Canadian government has been trying to protect under political protection these Khalistani elements, which are very much on the soils of Canada. They are operating anti-India rhetoric. They have organized violent events. They have threatened and intimidated Indian communities, Indian diplomats, and Canadian government has been reluctant in acting against them.
Talking about that message to Canada, he has not named the country, but the latest diplomatic standoff and the speech of the External Affairs at this point in time, as you pointed out, is indeed a message for Canada as well.
Well, we can say to some extent, he had hinted on those issues when he said about the creating safe havens for terrorists. Of course, any country which lets its soil be operated by element or a group of people who have their vested agenda that clearly calls for annexation of a country cannot be tolerated in the name of freedom of speech or democratic right to protest. That has to be dealt with. And this is something was clearly hinted on the Canadian government. Also, when he said about the rules-based order, which the peer group of Canada has recently said about, US, UK, Australia, these countries have said about sovereignty and integrity and non-interference in the internal affairs of any country. He has probably tried to answer that in a way that cherry-picking of cases cannot go like that, because we have seen in the past also there have been multiple cases of certain countries going ahead with their, furthering their own national interests, going ahead and, neutralizing people in other countries, and that
Yeah.
has been fairly accepted
Yeah.
around the world. So, I mean, that was probably the hint that Jaishankar was trying to give to the commentaries.
All right, that was the hint that Dr. Jaishankar was trying to give, and at a time when the diplomatic tensions between India and Canada are at an all-time high, the respect for territorial integrity and non-interference in internal affairs cannot be exercised in cherry-picking is something that Dr. Jaishankar has said at the United Nations General Assembly, and it's a big, categoric, clear message coming in from India without naming, and those are the lines that India has respected. However, one thing India has made abundantly clear, that they're not going to pursue this issue on a back foot. We'll continue tracking that story and what this speech of Dr. Jaishankar really means. For now, it's a wrap on this edition of Viewpoint. Plain Speak follows.
Welcome everyone. Thanks a lot for staying with us. You're watching Plain Speak with me, Shivani Gupta. It's been 9 days since Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau accused Indian government of being involved in the murder of a Khalistani terrorist Hardeep Singh Nijjar on Canadian soil. Since then, Trudeau and Canada have failed to provide any evidence to support the claim. Now, given the allegations were made so publicly, the expectation is that they'll also validate it publicly as well. While some statements from US authorities may seem to back Trudeau, there are no global powers